This is Too Long for a Voice Note, a podcast about everything and nothing at the same time. Presented by Claire
and Enzo. Our podcast is produced in London. Some conversations are just too long for a voice note.
Claire,
Enzo,
I have something to tell you before we get to our new episode.
what is that?
Have you heard about the app Newsly?
I have. So Newsly is the first ever app that makes the internet listenable.
It's actually really cool.
So cool.
Because, you know, when you are on a rush, or you're rushing to the tube, or you're like, oh my god,
On
I
the way
need
to the gym, something,
whatever.
anything.
But you want to get, you know, you cannot read in this situation,
Yeah.
but you want to get like informed, you want to know about the news, you want to read, you know, whatever it is, now you can listen to it. So
amazing. And also, did you know that your very favourite podcast, Too Long for a Voice Note, is also available on Newsly, so you can listen to us.
It's really cool
quickly.
because actually you can put together like a list of articles you want to listen to, and also you can put in the middle some podcasts. There are a lot of great podcasts, and of course the best one, which is this one.
Exactly.
It's got its features. So
Enzo, how can our listeners enjoy Newsly?
you can use it on iOS, but also in Android. So you can just put Newsly and download it. Then we're gonna leave a link here, so you can just go and get it.
Check below.
You're gonna get 1 month for free if you put the name Enzo with a 0 at the end.
Of course, Enzo. Of course, his name Enzo. But please do use the code Enzo at checkout to get 1 month for free.
And please let us know what you think about it, because we're loving it so far. So
Exactly, it's amazing. Thank you guys.
hey, she's Claire.
And he's Enzo.
And this is Too Long for a Voice Note.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
We're here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we get started, please do remember to
Business. Subscribe, like, share. Thank you for, you know, liking
everything, commenting.
Thank you
we really
for
appreciate
rating
it.
our show. Also, like on
Yeah.
Spotify, Apple, and everywhere.
Yes,
and
thank you.
watching stuff and liking. We really
Yeah,
appreciate it. So
it really does help the podcast to grow and for more
to
people to
grow,
see it.
grow
So,
like a little tree.
like a little baby tree. So
Now
thank
it's growing.
you.
It's like what we want to be. We want to be like
An
what
oak.
type of tree? An oak.
An oak,
Because
a
of
wise,
wisdom.
mighty oak. But anyway, how has your week been, Enzo?
It's been nice. It's been good. I mean, I'm so happy that we are finally filming our new episode. But it's been a fun week.
Anything fun happen this week?
Yes, I went to a show that was a really enjoy. It was
was
like a Sasha Velour show. It's just like a drag queen. She's the most famous drag queen from this period of time.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. I went with Andis. It was like a pre-birthday gift kind of thing. So shout out to Andis. Hello. So we went to see the show, and it was I was really surprised because I was expecting obviously something really good because I heard really nice reviews.
Yeah.
But it was such a artistic show. It was like a really, you know, because sometimes for people, like if you hear about a drag queen, you think it's just like, oh, someone like, you know, like dressing up and like maybe like lip syncing or doing like some funny thing, and that's it. But there was a lot of depth in the show.
Yeah.
It was very artistic. You have like projections. It was really an art show. I've never been in a show like this as well. Of course, it's very like queer community, like inclusive and like celebratory kind of event, of course. But I think for anyone, whatever you represent, you feel represented by, or like if you are part of the queer community or not, if you're straight as well, you will enjoy the show so much. They had really amazing time.
You were buzzing from it, weren't you?
Yeah.
You felt very like inspired.
It also is very inspired. It was cool because, you know, like something, you know, like this is the first time I go to a show or something like this since the pandemic. It's been like 2 years, I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't been like in a place, like in a, you know,
a venue, kind of,
right? And it was very inspiring because then it makes me think or remind why I love London so much. You know, seeing all the different people and characters and like clothing and creativity, you get that. That's what I feel London. It's for me. It's kind of like this self-expression and freedom.
Totally.
And when you are there, you're like, oh my God, I forgot about this. This is how it felt to be like
Aw,
connected.
That's so lovely.
So I really like that as well. I think the whole experience was a really like cool experience overall because of that. What about you? Do you have something cool?
I went to I can't pronounce her name, but what's her I felt really ignorant not being able to pronounce her name, but
Joy Kusama, the exhibition.
Went to the she has like the really famous like infinity room, and it was like the infinity room, mirrors, and the chandelier of grief as well, like two of her big kind of like installations. They're super Instagrammy, like everybody kind of knows these exhibitions, but
because
super beautiful.
they're very colorful. That all the reflections with the lights are very beautiful. I've seen one of her infinity rooms, but the small ones. One in London, that has this gallery which is around Angel. I forgot the name of the gallery. She always has exhibitions there. But it was like a little small room where you stand there. That was when I moved to London, and there's always exhibitions there. I think one this year or was last year, I went to another one that I never seen from her work. It was more painting. And this was really cool because it's kind of like a different point of view of her work. It's more like ceramics and paintings, but still with the dots. And it was actually really, really beautiful as well.
So talented. Super interesting. The only thing is I wish we had more time there because it was very like time restricted, but I understand why the Tate is doing that. It's kind of to allow more people to go, and it is free, which is really, really good.
It's a celebration of her work as well, kind of thing.
Totally. But
really cool. That's really good. It's really amazing that you have the experience to go to the exhibition.
So bitter. I can see.
I'm
that's amazing.
I'm so happy for you.
So happy for you.
And she asking me, which picture should I post? I was like, this one, like the worst one.
It's like a double chin one. He's like, you look so beautiful in that one.
Claire, come on, what the fuck are you talking about? You look incredible in that photo. It's just I'm not like watch out yourself.
Well,
no, it's really cool.
It
is my week. It's my week. And so, secret topic of the week. This is my week, right? And I have a topic that I wanted to discuss with you. I want to talk. It's not only about him, but I think he's the reason why I'm bringing this topic. It's about Bad Bunny. Claire favorite, Latin boy.
My favorite Latin boy of all the Latin boys.
Bad Bunny, if you are listening to the podcast or watching, you don't know who Bad Bunny is. Bad Bunny is like the biggest reggaeton artist in the world right now. Also, it's one of the biggest artists overall. I think he was like number one Spotify list last year, right?
He was literally no one, Claire. He was the most. He was the most streamed artist on Spotify of 2021.
So he's like the top of the top of the top. So if you don't know his music, fine, but he's like this big figure for music and a superstar.
I'm so excited we're talking about this.
It's this topic I want to go to different perspectives and different points of view as well, and the reason why I'm bringing this topic is like Bad Bunny is also huge, not only because his music is incredibly catchy and he's very creative, but also like the way he expresses himself. It's very different from other like artists or reggaeton artists, because if you don't know, like the reggaeton Latin industry, it's known for being very sexist and very close-minded and very like all of these kind of things. But he kind of since his star, and that's why he got so big as well, he's always like breaking the mold in his own terms. For being a straight reggaeton artist, he's very outside the norm, as you know. Like,
totally.
He always wears like
so he can dress in like women's clothes sometimes. He was like painting his nails like way back when. Very. I mean, I'm sure we'll get all into it, but very outspoken about all of that kind of thing. So he's definitely very unique in the Latin reggaeton world.
Definitely, sure. He's very like expressive and one thing why we bring this is because recently he did all this. He's always a controversy around him and what he represents and the way he expresses himself, because it's a bit different. And for some, especially for the queer community, sometimes it can be a bit problematic. And that's what I want to talk with you, because I think this is such a interesting topic that sometimes I don't stand in one side only, because I think there's many sides to see it, and I'm sure you're gonna agree with me on some things, so you have understand where I come from with this. But anyway, he released this campaign recently with Jacquemus. I don't know how. Jacquemus is this like fashion brand, very like big. French.
I would assume they're French. They're French.
French, and he's the image of the brand, because I would say he's very fashion forward. He's very open, and like in the some of the images of the campaign, he's wearing like women's clothes. He's wearing like high heels. So he's kind of playing with this what feminine is society. What it is to be a feminine construction, let's say. So basically a straight man wearing a dress and like heels, blah blah blah. So obviously, for Bad Bunny, this is not that shocking, because since he started his career, he's very like that. He's very fluid with the way he expresses himself. But what I want to talk here is different things, like our perception of like what's feminine, what's masculine, what's wrong, what's right, and why we got such a hard time still to kind of like wrap our heads around this. And I want to know, like, what are your, for example, point of view of him being because he is like physically, like what you think someone very masculine
he's cisgendered, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
And he looks very masculine, whatever means. So what do you feel with this form of him expressing himself like in a feminine way? What do you feel about it? What do you feel about a man exploring that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Because he obviously does come at it from a position of power, because he is not trans, he's not gay, he is a cisgendered. He's a Latin man, but it's like, so of course he has some privilege there that transgender people or queer people wouldn't have as well. So there is that. But I have to say, of course, I really love Bad Bunny, but taking it objectively, I do think like he is really an important figure, because especially you have to look at everything contextually, right? Like you can speak about this more than I can, because you are Latin. I'm not Latin, but like, of course, I have some understanding of it. It's very like, as I said at the beginning, very, especially I think in Latin culture in general, and also especially in like the reggaeton industry, it's super, I mean, like super sexist, but also like in South America still, it's very dangerous for women and transgender people. Like Mexico has like the highest number of female murders like in the world, and all of that. So it's, this is like, that's a broader way of taking it, but for somebody like him to like, say for people that are transgender, it's still really unsafe for them. It's still really unsafe for transgender people here, of course, but I would imagine especially in Latin America, like for someone as big as him, that it, to come out and be like, actually it's okay. I think it's really important, like the statement that he's making. However, I do appreciate that he's coming at it, because it's kind of like, he's safe, right?
No one will hurt him, kind of thing. Of course, he's safe. I think, of course, this what I'm saying again, this is not only like let's talk about Bad Bunny because of the celebrity. No, it's about everything that surrounds this. Because the problem, the fact that we have an issue with this happening is because obviously there's more things. It's not about Bad Bunny doing this, he's wrong or right. It's about like the construction around feminine masculinity and sexism and all of that around, and how I find so. It's interesting how we are in 2022, we still have such a hard time to just understand that gender and all of that as a construction. We construct that, and we like the clothing that we use, or how this is just a way to express ourselves and to feel more authentic to who we are. So the interesting part of it is like, I saw a lot of people, and that was a controversy come around, and I understand why, but saying like, him doing that, he's not doing any, he's coming from a position of power, he's a straight man, and really this is not helping. It's just kind of like taking queer's community way of expressing. It's kind of taking someone as privilege and using for himself, because a lot of people nowadays still thinks that he's doing all of that just because he wants to be different. It's kind of like a clickbait. He's not really that open. So some people, which you can argue that, I mean, you can, because we don't, I mean, how can you know if he's
you're
like...
never going to know.
You're never going to know if he's being sincere or he's like a trick, which I personally believe is not a trick, because I don't think he will put a trick for such a long period of time.
Yeah, if
it seems like to be genuine for him. Yeah, that's what I feel.
And also, I've seen, again, this can be bullshit, but then again, anything in the media or anything with celebrities or whatever. But I've seen an interview where he said that when he was little, he used to go to the shop with his mum, and he used to be like more drawn to women's clothing, even though he always knew like he was straight.
I
He
could
agree.
be very creative. Yeah. The thing is, like, I feel, some people from the queer community, they feel he's taking this privilege and he's using it. It's like, and I understand where it comes from, because if you are a gay man and you dress as a woman, people will attack you, they will hurt you, they will criticize you, and they will tell you like, oh, you're gay, you're this, why you wearing these clothes if you're a man? But him, because he's a privileged man and he's a straight, it's fine to be a straight and play with the I can be a bit feminine.
It's true. It's completely true. But then wouldn't we argue that like, at least that's somebody kind of saying like, you know what, it's okay to like play with this. To, if we're gonna say like clothes are only an expression of ourselves, like what the hell? It's all just fabric at the end of the day. It's just like, isn't it better because like somebody like that, you know, then you can't really win, because it's like you're not then doing anything. And also with Bad Bunny as well, like he I literally sound like I'm like defending him, but
it's fine, because that's the conversation we need to have. That's
exactly.
why,
like it's like with him there, you know, there's obviously his really famous song Yo Perreo Sola.
Yo Perreo Sola.
It's like I twerk alone. It's like super feminist, right? That song. It's like a feminist anthem. Like basically, like I'm gonna dance alone. If I want to, I don't need a man.
He's in a drag in the video.
He's in drag, and it's like one of the most viewed videos ever on YouTube. When he performed that on like SNL or something, he was wearing like a dedication to the a trans woman that got murdered in Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
But then again, the downside to that was so like feminist, but then people were ripping him because the girl that sampled on that song, he didn't feature her in the video. Yeah. So again, it's like being guilty of like female erasure, basically.
Yeah. Good point.
But it's like, I don't know what's worse, because I feel like whatever he will probably do, then he's going to be kind of criticised, because then if he doesn't do this, then he's just like another kind of basic reggaeton artist, kind of a bit like J Balvin, for example. But then if he does do it, then people say that he's kind of like stealing from like queer identity and everything like that. But then isn't it better that he's kind of being like, look,
there's
I
another
am
way
this
to see
and
things.
and like maybe I'm not sure.
It's difficult in these topics, with these topics, to get it right, but I think he is creating a change in some levels, like the fact that reggaeton, he, like, you know, his audience are mainly straight men and straight women. This is his audience in Latin America and the whole world. It's not like he's not like typical gay oriented. He's not like a pop diva that are typical for a gay communities. Are more like he represents something that it's so far away from the queer community, and the fact that he's being the number one in the world, he's being like, fine, you can paint your nails, whatever. That creates a change, a small change that adds up with time. And the thing is, it gives visibility in a way, like people like that are straight, more close-minded, they understand. It would be like, well, you know, it's not bad. He's just expressing himself. He does great music. Fine. I think it creates a change slowly, and it creates a change in places like, if you are queer, you can... It's not. I feel like he's an ally in many ways, you know, allies for the queer community. And the thing is, like, you cannot create change only stuck. Like, I move this, for example, for feminism. You cannot create changes if men are not involved, you know, because like, you need the other people to know what it is. You know what I mean? If you create a feminist community with only people that thinks the same,
totally.
How you create a change?
I totally get you.
You know, you need to get to the people that think different to you, to involve them in the conversation and make the change. That's how I see it. Obviously not as simplistic as that, but that's a step.
I think also one thing that I was interested in kind of talking about is like how, what you said about how you're in a position, because it's the same with him, right? Like it's sort of like, because you look manly, and so does he, and then, but is that like, do you think people have more of a problem with him like painting his nails, for example, because I would imagine he gets a lot of pushback, right? That he, not from the gay community, but from people probably being a bit, like I would imagine it hasn't always been easy. I'm
sure a lot of straight men are like, oh, what he's doing, like why he's acting, why he's so feminine.
I'm sure. But it's that thing of like, is it because he's masculine, he's not playing into our... I guess it's, I would like, would want to talk a bit about like toxic masculinity there, because it's like, is it more expected or accepted for people who look more feminine to kind of like do that, paint the nails, and play with different like clothes, etc., or the fact that do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem, like for many people, like of course for him it's fine, it's the same thing, of course. And this with Bad Bunny is not a new thing. Like Brad Pitt did in the past, in the 2000s, like in the Rolling Stone magazine, he wore a dress. Harry Styles, he's actually doing it still with his look. He's very like feminine, not very feminine, but very David Bowie inspired, very open, very fluid. That's not something that it's new. Prince was one of the leaders doing that, but there's just little samples, you're right? There's a little here and there. The thing is, like, as you say, like, when you come in a position that you are masculine, which I guess it comes from the problem of we believe as society feminine things are weak.
Bad. Yeah.
They're bad,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah,
that's
totally.
the issue that we have here.
Yeah, totally.
And that's why when you have a man playing with something which we consider feminine, we think it's below the normal. He's like weak.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of issues there. There's only not, I feel like, sexism, masculine, feminine, the queer community. There's many layers to this topic.
Yeah.
And that's why I found really interesting. But the thing is, like, going back to Bad Bunny, and I think people are getting pissed off at him. I understand why, and I think it's good to let people know that he's doing this from a privilege, but still it's good what he's doing to a certain extent, because, you know, always he could do better, but also it's not his job to do better. You know what I mean? Like, people are saying like, oh, well, he can do more.
Okay,
But
what kind of?
For example, like they were saying like, oh, if he's so supportive of the queer community as why he doesn't include like queer artists on his albums? Why there's no women related in the process? Why, you know, like I don't know how the stand of this, but like in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of like a trans and like queer or reggaeton artists that he could feature in his songs and give it like a opportunity if he's really that alive. But he's doing already something at least.
And also then if he starts to feature, I can guarantee you, because this is how people are.
Yeah.
So he starts to like feature some like trans reggaeton Puerto Rican artists, and people will be like, oh, he's only doing that because he wants to be like looking good to the trans community or something. Like, I'm telling you, people sometimes cannot win. And it's not just because I really like him. It's true. Like, I agree. It's like, and you're right. It's not his job. He's an artist, like a singer. You know, it's not like, and he's doing.
He's an activist. We need to find ways to create change without being so like that, because that won't create a change.
I totally, I get you. And I think what you said about like how you can't have a conversation about feminism without including the men, I think that's a really, really good point here, because it's like, it's not about like it's like about, another analogy will be like what they did with Beyond Meat burgers with vegans. Like that was not created for vegans, because you don't need to persuade vegans to eat
to be more
them,
vegans.
you know, that. So it's to try and get the meat eaters in. And that's the thing, like we're very divided, and like you can't, that's the thing, like you're so right, like it's about like the small things that like, you know, at the end of I can't roll my R's to say it.
Yo Perreo Sola. It's
Perreo
really
Sola.
difficult. They have like 4 difficult
Like,
sounds in Spanish.
What Enzo said.
That.
What the line at the end is like, if I'm like something along the lines of like, if a woman says that she doesn't want to dance, like leave her alone. And I just think like, if that just gets into like one man's head, like
that's already a winning.
Do you know what I mean? Like that small things that, of course, Bad Bunny can't change like an entire like culture or like an entire like way of thinking, or like he's not going to be able to like you know, completely get rid of like toxic masculinity, but it is these like little small things that kind of can permeate, and people start to think about it slowly, and you never know, right? Like,
and especially for the audience he has. When someone like Bad Bunny does this, it has like impact from people that you wouldn't, especially in Latin America. Like I can imagine so many straight men looking at him and being like, all right, or maybe like, oh, he's there will be the comment, is he gay? Like, oh wow, like that could be a reaction, but also it could be like, fine, that's cool, he's expressing himself. And I think this is the conversation we need to have, that we need to, I think there's so much, and I wanted to talk about this also a bit, kind of wrap up everything, but also about fashion, and how fashion, it's such a problematic thing forever, in different times, for women and for men, and how like we need to understand and have more this conversation of like, fashion, it's a way to express how you feel, and like the way that you are a man or a woman, or like if you're a gay or not binary, straight, whatever you are, clothing is just like transport. It's just like a way to express who you are, whatever you use, and that's fine. It doesn't come, and I feel it's interesting how people connect clothing with like a position of power in a way, you know what I mean? Like if you're a straight man but you're wearing something like it's feminine, that's a problem, you know? This connection is weird that we still have it nowadays.
Or if like if you're wearing a short skirt, you're asking for it kind of thing.
Exactly.
Or you dress a certain way, like you look like a whore or something
Those
like that. Like
perceptions.
that kind of thing. It's very strange, and I think it's really like wrong to like pretend that isn't still there.
And this is like a sample how.
Yes.
Of course, you go to the queer community because for the queer community, fashion, it's one of the only resources that you have to express yourself in a society that you are oppressed, you know?
Yeah.
So when you are oppressed, you don't have a lot of things to how to tell people the world who you are and kind of like make a statement of like, I'm here. So when you want to express who you are in a different way, that's why, you know, for like queer people, it's like easily to express themselves to feminine clothes or whatever they want to mix and being creative about it. I think there's a lot more layers of this, and I would like to have a conversation with more people. I would like to have this conversation with someone from the queer community and a straight guy as well, because I think we need to put all these ideas in perspective and kind of like find like more reasons of why this is happening, how can we break it, and just remember that you can be where you want, you're not hurting anyone, and a piece of clothing, if anything, is just like extension of who you want to express yourself, nothing to be oppressed or nothing to be ashamed of. So yeah.
Can I ask you something quickly about like?
I know you can't.
It's like, no, you won't, woman. Simmer down. Get back in your corner. Get back in the kitchen.
If you want to ask me something, put a suit on first, you know.
But like, I was gonna say, like, in terms of like your experience of like machismo culture in the Latin community, because obviously you are Latino, but you haven't lived in Latin America for years. Yeah. But like, I'm just really curious about how Bad Bunny will, like how you think he's been like received and like that kind of thing.
That's why. Yes, I think when he came out and he was the first one painting his nails or whatever, I was actually shocked about it. I was like, all right, because I can only imagine the impact that has in Latin America and how people will perceive. I can imagine friends of mine, I can imagine people that I know being like, what he's doing, like what he's crazy, you know. Of course, sometimes we go back to the privilege. When you are an artist, you have certain allowance, because when you are an artist, it's kind of like, oh no, he's weird or she's weird because she's an artist, so you can allow it because the person has a label. Approval to do it. But if not, you're the weirdo, you're the gay, you are the strange person. So I imagine how this, and I remember when he came out and he started with the painting his nails, with the basic things. I was like, now every man is painting his nails, like every man as like in the industry or whatever is more open now. I'm not saying only thanks to him, but he started like this trend. I remember people being shocked about it, like, oh, he's painting his nails. What the fuck? Is he gay? You know, like, I am only imagining Latin America, how impactful and how people were probably like judging him a lot for doing that. Yes. And I wonder, like, I was here, of course, but imagine how deep shit was like brought up to the surface when this happened. People being really like, you can spot people being very sexist, very homophobic, very like, I can just imagine how many men and women were like, the fucking man is gay. What the fuck? Why he's painting his nails? I cannot just imagine the amount of this, which I guess at this point we probably really less of that. Yeah. Because
we're used to Bad Bunny as well, you know, that kind of thing.
It's like, it's Bad Bunny, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. But again, that's another conversation. It's not just Bad Bunny. It's just what that represents. Well, let's do like a little recap. So we have 60 seconds. I mean, we say a lot, but if you have something else to like, you talk a lot, woman.
Talk a lot for a lot of opinions for a woman.
For opinion for a straight woman. Like, no. Where's your suit? No, like, I don't know, whatever you want to add to this conversation that I think it has, like, we need to have more and more. So there you go. I have 60 seconds.
Let go. So yeah, very, very interesting and dense topic. And I think that it's, like I generally think that what Benito is doing is a really positive thing, because it is encouraging people that are not in the queer community to kind of, like we said, like have these conversations and talk about kind of like different issues in that way. But of course, I think we do have to recognise that he is coming from a position of power.
Yeah.
And like you said as well, like I hadn't really thought about the fact that he is an artist, and you kind of get some of that kind of leeway. And like I don't really have like too much else to add apart from that. I just think it's actually really good that what he's standing for is hopefully encouraging people to think around this topic a bit more broadly. And I wish that we could kind of not take fashion so like literally. I think that's really boring and tired, and like if people want to wear what they want to wear, they should be able to wear that. Of course, if only life were that easy, right?
Yeah.
Of course it's not, but yeah, that's kind of the way that I like things to go forward. But yeah, that's that.
No, nice. Yeah, a very interesting topic. Definitely a conversation that probably we think we're gonna have more of this.
Yes, I'm gonna be thinking about this a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of to think, but that's why.
You know who would be a good person to have? I don't know if he's watching, but Kike would be a I would love to have this conversation with Kike, our friend. We did a live with Kike.
We did a live with Kike. I think yes, because I think we follow each other obviously in social media, and I know he was having some point of view on this as well. So I saw some things he was saying about the topic, and it would be really interesting to have it here live. So let's see, maybe we can have a live with Kika.
Yeah.
I was sending this clip to him, like we are kind of like how do you say it when you like asking for an entity to come, like summon
Kike up to be like, give us your intelligent opinion on this, please.
Well, definitely. So we'll try to make that happen for sure. As always, like we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. We're on
YouTube.
Good Pods.
Yeah,
we're in Newsly now as well. New friends of Newsly. I don't know. We are everywhere. We have also like a Pinterest account if you use Pinterest.
Yeah, Pinterest and our TikTok as well.
TikTok
and
as well.
Instagram
Yeah.
as well.
So whatever is the social media that you enjoy the most, we're there.
Yeah,
you know.
So, but yeah.
So
guys,
thank you very much, guys. Yeah.
Bye.
See you. Bye bye.